Podshank here with Premier FPL for the Gameweek 26 FPL tips. So I think to start out here, again, I do have my Gameweek 26 through 30 FPL fixtures. Looks like I have a typo there, so I'm going to have to fix that. But it just has kind of the difficulty rankings for game weeks 26 through 30, just to kind of look ahead over the next 5 game weeks. Kind of crazy that we're already looking at game week 30 here. So the season is starting to wind down. So for today's tips, I think I'm going to be diving in a little bit to looking at which players for this game week and setting yourself up for the next coming game weeks, which is why I do like to have the difficulty ranking out here. I think that is the main thing that I'm trying to focus on, is planning ahead. But with planning ahead, things sometimes change, and so that's the other thing I'm going to be looking at is kind of contingencies and how to plan, how to prepare yourself for the situations that come up that you didn't really plan for. See, and then so also thinking about what are some of the teams that have some decent fixtures looking ahead and who to pick up there. And then I think we'll wrap up with just some ideas for captains for this game week. And again, really trying to focus on preparing for future fixtures coming up. All right, so starting out, I'll go over a little bit of last week's match. I have had, this is back-to-back game weeks that I think I've been under 50 points, so really struggling recently. Disappointed with some of the players that I did bring in, and just trying to salvage some things here going forward. Again, my big points were from Pogba, Rashford, and Jimenez, but even there, didn't have anybody that broke double digits, and that's what really, I think the big thing that hurt me was this Sané, 1 point, didn't even play 60 minutes. Let alone do anything outside of that. So that was very disappointing. I had briefly considered bringing in Aguero. I was concerned that he would be rested more with the League Cup final coming up, but turns out that I was way off base on that. Ended up with the hat trick. Yeah, so that's just really disappointing, frustrating, but you know, what can you do? Just going to try to look ahead to the future. Did have, Wan-Bissaka with 5 points, Doherty with his 5 points. So, that's nice to see coming from the defense there. So, yeah. All right. Jumping back over here to the Game Week 26 through 30 difficulty ranking here. Just remember, Game Week 27, we have 4 fixtures with blanks. So the Brighton, Everton, Chelsea, and Man City, with Chelsea and Man City playing in the League Cup final. So just be aware of that, don't want to have any of those. Well, at least have a plan for what you're going to do if you do have those players in your team. You can still keep them in your team. I would say to just be careful about, just be careful with that, about what you're going to do as far as having a plan if they're going to be on your bench, of who's going to play in place of them. So that means that I'm going to have to look at, and I'm planning to actually move out Sané and Richarlison by that point. Most likely I will drop Sané this weekend. So my thought with that is dropping Sané in place of Son. That's my most likely move. I'll probably have to think about it a little bit more. I was looking, so I guess the 3 that I'm targeting for the next couple of fixtures is Son, Aubameyang, and Diogo Jota. Let's see, all players, Aubameyang. So Aubameyang, really the only thing to look at here is these next 3 fixtures. So, if I'm not going to get him in this game week, then I could take him. I don't even think I have enough that I could pull him in this game week, unless I did. Maybe if I dropped Rashford, and I don't know that this actually might be a good time to drop Rashford. Played a lot. They do have the PSG game coming up, playing against Fulham. Seems like a good time to give him a rest, but we'll see with that. But yeah, Aubameyang has these great 3 fixtures here. The Spurs away derby, those derbies, you never know how that will go. United at home is an interesting one. You never know which way that one's going to go. United did have the better of them last time. But, this is the way that football goes. You never know what's going to happen. But then finishes out the season very strong here. So he is one that I would like to target to bring in, and just to kind of wrap up the season with him in there. If we look at Son, go down here a little bit further to Son. His fixtures are a little more sporadic in here. Again, it's Son. He's done well all season. Doesn't matter who he plays against. But this Chelsea, Arsenal, the Liverpool away, Huddersfield, Man City away. So some really tough fixtures in there. But again, outside of that, has some really good fixtures. Leicester at home is a decent one. I could see Son scoring there. Burnley away. Burnley's been pretty tough at home recently. Southampton's look better. Crystal Palace at home, I think that's a good one for them. But then you have Brighton, Huddersfield, even this West Ham at home, Bournemouth, Everton. Good fixtures in there. So yeah, Son, Aubameyang, Jota is the other one. I'll actually pull up Jimenez because the main thing I'm looking at here is the fixtures, and they have some good fixtures here. The tough ones are Chelsea, Arsenal, United, and then Liverpool finishing the season. But otherwise, they have Newcastle at home, Huddersfield, Cardiff at home, Brighton at home, Fulham at home. So some great chances for some points in there, even doing a triple up. Now for me, to bring in Jota, I would have to plan for a double move because I already have 3 Wolves players in my team with Doherty, Patricio, and Jimenez. So it would take more finagling for me to get Jota in my team. Would basically mean having to drop Jimenez and then move somebody around in midfield, which, again, I'm going to avoid doing a -4. I know if I had done the -4 last week and brought in Aguero, that would have gotten me a lot more points, but instead I decided to just move out Luka Dean for Nathaniel Klein and prepare myself for the next couple of weeks to free up some more space for my midfield and my forwards. The other teams, there's 2 other teams actually that I am looking at targeting coming up. One is Bournemouth. So they have these 4 fixtures here that are really tough. Liverpool away, Wolves at home, Arsenal away, Man City at home. But to finish up the season, the only other difficult match is this Spurs match. And outside of it, Huddersfield anywhere is a good fixture. Newcastle at home is a good one. Burnley at home isn't a bad one. Fulham at home is a really good one. Now, Bournemouth have been leaking goals, so looking at targeting Liverpool for this weekend, I think is a really good one. And even, Arsenal, Man City players for these fixtures, I think those are really good chances. They've been giving up goals, so defensively, I'm not looking at Bournemouth, but looking at someone, looking at Fraser. If Wilson is able to come back, he'd be a good one to finish out the season. But otherwise, there's still Josh King, and Brooks is also another decent one to look at picking up. The other one, looking ahead, now this is a little further down the road. Here is, sorry, not further down the road, fairly recent. The only hard one for West Ham is this Man City away fixture. But otherwise, Fulham at home is a really great one. Cardiff, Newcastle. Again, any of these teams playing Cardiff, Newcastle, Fulham, Huddersfield, I think those are teams that you should look at picking up. So West Ham, there's still Felipe Anderson. And then Arnautovic as well. He didn't play last week, but it looks like he should be fit and ready to go. So if he is fit, he's a good one to look at bringing back into your team. 6.4% ownership, and then probably the majority of that are teams that started the season with him in their team and just haven't dropped him. Some of those dead teams out there. But a 6.8 is a pretty good price point. Felipe Anderson at 7.1 is still a little bit high, but if you look at all of the midfielders, he is still in this top 10 for midfielders here, just under Son, and just above Ryan Fraser. Now, you could also look at that and say, yeah, but Ryan Fraser is 1 million cheaper and has just 1 point less. So, take it for what you will. Felipe Anderson is somebody who has the potential for these big points. And even last week had man of match performance against Liverpool. So you never know when he's going to turn it on and play well. There's still Everton hanging out here. The problem that I have with Everton is they have this blank game week, and then it's so much of this like fits and starts as far as having easy fixtures and then a hard fixture. So I'm planning to dump Richarlison definitely by game week 27. So my plans are with Richarlison and Sane, moving them out, and then that should free up some space in my midfield. And also, I'm just going to avoid them from here on out. I know the Brighton's listed here at the top. Part of that, I really should have given them a higher point range here for these blanks, just because it does skew things a little bit. Same thing with Everton, because it does skew things, and I really should take a look at that, and I might actually go back in and fix it later on. Newcastle, now, the interesting thing with Newcastle is they're still able to score goals, so it's not like I'm telling you to. I don't think that you should necessarily avoid Newcastle in their front line. Rondon isn't, you want to go for him. Personally, I'm avoiding Newcastle. I don't know that they don't really offer as much for me. Maybe if Rondon was lower, like 5.0 or less, that might be somebody to look at. But, you want to take a chance on somebody. He's not a bad one. They do have, Wolves, Huddersfield, Burnley, West Ham, Everton, and Bournemouth. So, their fixtures aren't terrible, at least as far as being able to score goals. It's just that they are losing these matches because they give up so many goals on the other end. Wolverhampton, like I said, is a good one to target. So I would say the big ones to target, Liverpool this weekend, you want to double, triple up. It looks like Alexander-Arnold might be making a return this weekend. So he's one to look at. Van Dijk is not a bad one to look at. Or even if you want to go, they still have Salah, Mane, Firmino up front. Any one of those three, any two of those three, I think would be fantastic. It's only this, and they are a team. They're not going to have any blanks. They're also not going to have any double game weeks. So that is the one issue to watch out for, are any of the teams that might have blanks. You know that Liverpool is not going to have any blanks. They're going to be playing the rest of the season without missing anything. So not bad to load up on Liverpool players. I definitely like the Salah, Mane. I had them earlier in the season. It's another one I might consider doing, but I do still really want to get in a Aubameyang. They have these two fixtures here in 29 and 30 against Tottenham and United that are difficult, but outside of that, they have some really great fixtures coming up. Same thing, Bournemouth, right in here. This is horrible. So their 5-week, their 4-match outlook is terrible. But after that, it's a lot of green, some gray in there. So looking at targeting Bournemouth in there, and then Wolverhampton is another big one. As for this weekend, Salah is always a great captain's choice. Just trying to think here. We want to pull up some of Bournemouth's recent fixtures. They lost 4-0 to Chelsea. Lost 2-0 to West Ham. So they lost 2-0 to Everton, lost 2-0 to Cardiff. They're giving up goals left and right. Targeting Liverpool, targeting Salah for a captaincy is a great one. Now, I would say one of the interesting kind of off picks, if you want to go with kind of a differential captain, Pogba, I think, is a really good one. Playing against Fulham this weekend. Fulham's another one that's giving up goals. I know it's away, and I know it's right before the PSG match, but Pogba is the kind of player that can turn things around, get a goal out of nowhere. Same thing with Son. He's another one. You want to go with a differential. He's not a bad choice. 10 goals already this season. I believe Pogba is on 9 goals this season. But the nice thing about Pogba, he is on penalties. Also has the assist potential. So 9 goals, 9 assists this season as well. You want to stick with a City player. Aguero, not a bad shout there. Sterling is another one. Now Hazard is an interesting one. 15 points last week. The thing with Hazard is, I think the only way that he really pays off is if you just keep him in your team. You just basically have to put him in your team, set it and forget it. Don't bother transferring him out. Don't worry about him being captain. Unless you want to captain him every week. Hazard is a player that is going to get you points when he gets you points, and otherwise, he's kind of hit or miss. He only really works out if you're going to keep him long term. This is all my midfielders. Go back up here to all players. Now, the issue with Aubameyang, I think he would be a great captain pick if he's going to play. So he might be a good one to set on the captain. Make sure that you have a good vice captain. So if he doesn't play, you're at least covered there. Yeah, so just something to consider there. The other one would be even Mane as another half-decent differential captain. Has already scored 3 goals in the last 3 matches. You want to pick him, thinking he's going to continue that form. That would also be a good one. All right, I think that just about covers everything that I wanted to go over. Again, one of my big focuses this season has been trying to plan ahead. That's right. The thing about planning ahead is you can have all of these great plans, but then something happens, like Kamara has a fight with somebody and ends up being sent out of the team, and then you're stuck with a player who's only going to be losing value. At this point, I don't think you can go any lower than 4.5% or 4.5, considering he's still 8% owned. And I'm wondering if there's a lot of people that are in the same position as me, where they just don't want to deal with it. He's a guy that I might just leave in my team until I'm able to wild card. Which I guess this is a good time to discuss the chips. Some people are considering doing a triple captain for Salah, considering that they're going up against Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth, a team that's giving up goals. So that might be an interesting one. Now, the thing to think about is planning ahead for these sort of things. This is probably the best chance for Salah as a triple captain. The only other one might be, this Burnley, Fulham, Huddersfield. Otherwise, you could hold on to it for something like, hoping that Aguero has another one of these big weeks where I'm trying to think if they have a chance for another double game week. Or hold on to it for something like maybe United has a double game week and Pogba you think is really going to do well. It would have to be, even that is something, it would have to be somewhere around here, game week 37. Even then, it's going to be tough. This might be the best chance for triple captain with Salah against Bournemouth. I'm currently holding on to my free hit, my bench boost, and my wild card for finding out when we do have the double game weeks and the blank game weeks. The blank game weeks, it's a good time to use the free hit chip just to kind of get a bunch of dead weight out, but that they're going to be playing the next week, bringing a whole fresh team that's going to be playing for that week. And I feel like the wild card is a good one to use for double game weeks to get prepared for those, as well as a bench boost is a good one to use for a double game week. Yep. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up there. Leave your comments below. Let me know couple things. Let me know, like, what are your plans? Are there things that you are looking ahead to? What do you do when suddenly, a situation like Kane pops up where you have all these grand plans and then you suddenly have to drop your star striker because he's out for, 2.5 months? What are the things that you do to manage those situations? Let me know what your captain pick is too. Um, Yep, I think that's where I will end it. Definitely appreciate any subscriptions. If you want to subscribe to the channel below, that would be great. And otherwise, wish you good luck and have fun.